Welcome to the Baseball Genius Podcast. I'm the Baseball Genius Adam Burnett. In this episode, I'm going to talk about running backs for this upcoming fantasy football season. The running back position is very volatile. A lot of injuries take place. The rankings that you're looking at today will be significantly different than the rankings that you see at the end of the year. Injuries happen. It's part of the game. And you have to really know the running back depth charts, know the situations on each team, know the player's skill set, and sometimes just get lucky. There are running backs that come out of the woodwork each season to help people make the playoffs and win league championships. 2 years ago, I won a league championship with the help of Tim Hightower on the Saints and Darren McFadden with the Cowboys. At the beginning of the year, I didn't expect that to happen. But because running backs are so volatile, I tend to not reach for them in the early rounds just so I can keep up with the Joneses. I had a very bad experience doing that earlier in my fantasy career, but there was a turning point. That turning point was the 2007 season. My team went 3-10, played in a toilet bowl, and was absolutely disgusting. That year, I drafted Shaun Alexander with the 5th overall pick, and on the turn in a snake draft, I took Rudy Johnson. Now, Shaun Alexander in 2005 was coming off his 1,880-yard season with 27 touchdowns. 2006, he still ran for a respectable 896 yards and 7 TDs, played in only 10 games. The bottom falls out in 2007. He runs for 716 yards and 4 touchdowns. As the 5th overall pick, that didn't help me. Rudy Johnson had come off 3 consecutive seasons of 1,300 or more yards and 3 consecutive seasons of 12 touchdowns. Rudy Johnson was a stud back then. 2007, at the age of 28. We didn't know that the cliff was at the end. However, Johnson runs for 497 yards and 3 touchdowns, plays one more year in 2008 with the Lions, and is out of football. That draft, I look back at it, and I passed on a lot of good, high-impact wide receivers because I was trying to keep up with the Joneses at the running back spot. That turning point was getting my ass kicked in that league. I haven't done it since. For me, the running backs, if I have a top 3 pick, I will go after a running back, be it David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, or Ezekiel Elliott. Outside of that, I will not reach for a running back if I have a real good receiver that can get me 10 touchdowns in these first couple rounds. To me, it's just not worth it. I would rather have stable points that I can count on week to week than trying to keep up with everybody else and shortchanging myself by grabbing a running back that's not worthy of that selection. With the advent of so many teams going to committee backfields and so many backfields having the lack of a true bell cow or a 3-down back, makes it a lot easier for fantasy players if they're going to subscribe to the strategy of just grabbing late-round backs and filling their roster in that way. When you look through all the running back depth charts, holy cow, there's some big names up there. There really are. But you can grab some value later. There are running backs in the teens and 20s that will, paired with a good receiver, an elite receiver, are going to give you some pretty darn good value as a package. Some of the running backs that I will be targeting this year, Danny Woodhead of the Baltimore Ravens. In a PPR league, Danny Woodhead is gold. I'm expecting 60 catches this year. The Ravens have thrown more pass attempts in the last 2 years than any other team. I expect Woodhead to be an integral point in their offense, especially with Dennis Pitta out. Woodhead will provide you very good value at a much later pick. I'm also looking at Bilal Powell of the New York Jets. I find it very hard to believe that Matt Forte is going to lead that team in touches this year. The Jets are rotten. They're tanking. They will be playing from behind. garbage time pinball points will be in play for Bilal Powell this year. It's something where you don't want to depend on garbage time points, but I think Powell will give you some very good value. I also like Paul Perkins of the New York Giants. I think he can be had later. To me, there's not a lot of competition in the Giants' backfield for him. He should be able to dominate the carries and lead the club in production from the running back spot. Dynasty League owners are probably going to go after Dalvin Cook a little earlier, or the Vikings. I think Cook is very explosive. I think Cook will lead the Vikings' backfield in scoring this year. He's the back that I would want to have in Minnesota over Latavius Murray. Murray's not very good at catching balls out of the... He gets much more than what is blocked. So I plan on targeting Dalvin Cook this year as well. The New England Patriots backfield, there's value there. LeGarrette Blount last year was on my roster and ran for 18 touchdowns. I drafted him in the 8th round last year. Maximum value. I don't think there will be an 18-touchdown runner this year in New England, but I still think there will be a couple of guys that will be valuable for fantasy owners. I believe that Mike Gillislee will be the early down smasher and the goal line back for the Patriots. If there's one back that I'm choosing in New England, it's Gillislee. In terms of PP, he's an integral part of their offense. I'm not afraid of Dion Lewis taking reps away from him. I think Lewis is limited at this point, and the Patriots are going to pick and choose when they use him. I also like Rex Burkhead. The Patriots went out and signed Burkhead for a reason. If the Patriots are going to go target somebody, that caught my attention. So Burkhead is someone that I will be paying attention to in training camp and possibly using a late-round flyer on. I look at what they did with Chris Hogan last year. Few people had Chris Hogan on their draft radars, and Hogan had some huge games for the Patriots. I think Burkhead could do the same. Ameer Abdullah of the Detroit Lions has been hurt a lot. He had a real tough foot injury last year. It's different than having muscle pulls and sitting out. He actually did some serious damage to his foot. Theo Riddick is going to be there to take away some of the third down work. Abdullah grades out as probably a first and second down back, but I think he's the best. And I think if you're grabbing him as a running back 4, it's certainly worth a shot. I don't see Dwayne Washington or Zach Zenner taking carries away from Abdullah, especially if he's healthy. Abdullah's another player that owners should be looking at. Doug Martin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to miss the first 3 games of this season. If you have roster space and he falls far enough, I certainly believe Martin is worth the pick. Martin's a pretty darn good running back. He's just been inconsistent. But for the spot that you'll have to take him this year, he may provide you good value. I find it hard to believe that he'll run for 421 yards and 3 touchdowns again this season. I highly doubt that he goes for the 1,400 yards that he had in 2012 or the 1,400 yards that he had in 2015, but I certainly believe that Martin, coming off a suspension, could get you a 1,000-yard season, and if you're grabbing him in the 10th round, then why not take that risk? The Packers' backfield is one that I don't know how to grade out. Ty Montgomery's very, very high on these rankings that I'm looking at as I prepare for drafts. Montgomery's a talented guy. He's got some wiggle. I'm just not sold that I would get the value back of where I have to take him. He's, to me, one of the scarier players in fantasy football. Because I live in Wisconsin and play against mostly Packers fans, I feel Montgomery will get overdrafted. I plan on taking Jamaal Williams, the rookie running back out of BYU, as one of my late-round flyers. Williams is a natural running back and is much better in pass protection than Montgomery is at this stage. Montgomery may be able to get better at that, but when you look at the Packers' offense is built around Aaron Rodgers and the passing game. The running game is there to complement the passing game. They throw the ball to set up the run. because they throw the ball to set up the run, they need a running back in the backfield that can protect Aaron Rodgers' backside. Aaron Rodgers gets killed, the Packers season is over. Therefore, the most important thing I'm looking for in the battle between Montgomery and Williams is not how they're running the ball, but how they seem to be doing and how the reports are coming out of who's doing better in pass protection. If you continue to hear that Montgomery's struggling in pass protection, go up, spend one of those late-round lottery tickets on Jamaal Williams. Colts running back Marlon Mack is another player that I'm looking at as a late-round flyer in drafts this year. Mack is a rookie out of South Florida. Frank Gore is old. It's discussed every year at some point Frank Gore is going to break down and wear down. Mack is a explosive back that can catch balls out of the backfield. When you look at the Colts depth chart, there's not a lot of talent there. Mack should be able to jump ahead of Robert Turbin and steal some carries away from Frank Gore, I would think, by midseason, depending on the type of league you're playing in. If you're in a dynasty league, Mack should be ranked higher. Seasonal league, if you're going to spend a late-round pick on Mack, you may want to hold on to him for a little bit and wait it out. But I think Mack will provide some value this year out of the Colts backfield. That is the Baseball Genius Podcast. If there are any other running bait, feel free to comment. You can hit me up on Twitter. I am at a baseball genius. Don't make the mistake I made by playing the running back game, keeping up with the Joneses. Do your own research, and you'll be able to find some diamonds later in the drafts.